And hello again, and here we are back on my drive on a beautiful summer morning, and we have two of my bikes. We have my old Norley and my brand new Norton Commando 961. But this video is not going to be about this bike or any other bike. No, this is something a bit different. And that's because this is the first new bike I've bought for 25 years. And equally, I haven't bought any new bike gear for almost the same length of time. I mean, my latest helmet was probably 15 years old, ditto leather jackets, pants, boots, gloves, you name it, all my bike gear is getting on a bit. Now, it's still in good nick, because I do look after my stuff, but yeah, it is looking a bit old, and I thought buying a brand new bike gave an excuse to go out and buy some brand new bike gear. And that's not the only reason for wanting to buy some new bike gear, because these days most of my bikes are pretty damn old. And in fact, this bike, although it's brand new, looks old, it's a sort of neo-classic. And what I realised was all the gear I had, all the bike gear I had, was pretty damn modern. Even though it's 10, 15, 20 years old, it doesn't really suit these old bikes and these old looking bikes. So what I wanted to do was buy some new bike gear with all the modern protection, you know, CE, AAA approved. But it looked more appropriate when I'm riding this bike and all my old bikes that I own. So the hunt was on. And so this video will be the first of maybe 3 or 4 that I'm going to make about the choices I went through and why I bought the new gear that I did. So I think we'll start off at the top with helmets. And so when it comes to helmets, well, I already own half a dozen, and so let's go through them very quickly and I'll explain what they are and why I bought them. And so my oldest helmet is this. This is a Davida helmet, which I picked up from the factory because it's not too far away from me in Liverpool, many years ago, about 1992-93. Since then, I think I've repainted it about 4 or 5 times. You can see here it's now got a Motor Guzzi badge on it. It's painted to match my Guzzi, but I don't wear it anymore. And yeah, I mean, open face helmets aren't that safe. If you fall off, you can face plant and you've got no face left. And in fact, on this one here, since I painted it, I still haven't got around to sticking on the rubber around the edge yet. However, one thing I would say in the favour of open face helmets is they do give you much more of a wider view around the side. You know, they're not quite so enclosed. And what I found was when I was wearing this, when I owned an old Ducati Desmo 900 SS, yeah, it worked really well because that bike didn't have mirrors, and so you're sort of constantly glancing behind you. Full face helmet, you can't really see very much, whereas with this one, you can sort of see a lot of sort of wider field of view when you're wearing a open face helmet. That said, I probably wouldn't wear one now, but I keep it just for, you know, keepsake, and one day I might get around to repainting it just for the practice of respraying things. So yeah, that's my ancient old Davida helmet. And my next helmet is this one, a Simpson Super Bandit. Right, I'm not sure if you can hear me then, but yeah, this is my second oldest helmet. This is a Simpson Super Bandit. I bought this in America when I was in Daytona in about 94, 95, and it was a lot cheaper to buy it there than it was here. It was originally white, but as you can see, I've since resprayed it in Ducati red, and it's got some Ducati NCR symbols there. Now, I bought this because at the time it's a really cool thing to own, but what I found was it might look cool, but it's really a race car helmet, and it doesn't work very well when it comes to motorbikes. These old Simpsons, first of all, they're pretty damn heavy. Second, they're very drafty, incredibly drafty. You can't close off these lower vents, and yeah, that makes it very noisy. Even with earplugs in on the motorway, you know, you're going to go deaf. Still keep it, of course, just for, you know, sort of a keepsake, but I don't think I would buy one of these again. I used to wear this a lot when I had a VMAX, had a tuned VMAX many years ago. So yeah, it looked the part back then, but these days it doesn't really suit any of my bikes. And so next we have this helmet, which is a Shoei Neotech. And so this is the helmet I wear most. This is a Gen 1 Shoei Neotech, flip up of course, and it's so practical. I was amazed when I got it how much I use this flip up front. It's so helpful. You know, if you stop for petrol, you can talk to people. They don't ask you to take your helmet off. It's just super practical. And also, because it flips up, when it's down, it seals really well around the chin piece. So it's very quiet, very draft free, and yeah, it's also quite light. and I'm really happy with it. And so when I was looking to buy a brand new helmet, my first port of call, I thought, right, great, I'll go and get a new Neotech. Just brought out a new Neotech number 3, Mark 3. So I went to look, and yeah, it looks great. In fact, these days it even includes a built-in sun visor that's built into the helmet, which is pretty damn cool. What I was shocked at was how much they cost. Oh my god, they're over £500 for a modern Neotech. Now I can't remember how much I paid for this, but it wasn't, maybe $250, something like that. Although this is about 15 years old. But yeah, this is probably the helmet I would wear if I could only have one. It is super, super practical, and I'm really happy with it. It's just not very cool looking, is it? It's not so cool. And another thing about shoeies is that back in the day, and I think even still today, it was said you either had a shoei head or an arai head. I think one's rounder and one's more egg-shaped. And I found back in the day that I certainly had a shoei head, because arais didn't quite fit me as well as a shoei. So I've always bought shoeis rather than arais. So when it comes to helmets, I really do believe arai or shoei at the top of the pile. I don't care what anybody else says. I've worn loads of helmets, I've tried loads on, and quite frankly, shoei or arai are the best. And so next, I have another shoei. I'm not sure what this design is from. I think it's from some GP racer from about 20 years ago. I'm not sure. But I bought this to go racing. So this is what I wore when I was drag racing at places like Santa Pod and Shakespeare County Raceway. And in fact, it's still got little dots of burnt rubber up the back here from when I was doing burnouts. So yeah, I'll leave that on for the time being. So this is my best helmet. I kind of wear it for best. I don't want to get it too scratched and so on. And yeah, it's okay. But as you can see from the design, it doesn't really match my Norton Commando or these old bikes I own. I do want to actually a couple of red bikes, so maybe it'll work for that. But yeah, it's a bit too leery, isn't it? A bit too loud for these old bikes that I own now. And so the hunt was on for a brand new helmet. So I looked at a lot of YouTube videos by people like Urban Rider, who are a big shop down in London, a bit sort of hipster, but they have some nice videos. Ditto for Motor Legends, and no doubt lots of other YouTube videos that are available. And at the moment, actually, it's good news is there are a lot of helmets out there that are designed to look suitable on old bikes. Must be quite a growing market, I guess. Things like the Bell Bullet, which is basically looks like an old Bell from the 70s. And one I liked was the HJC V10. That looked a bit sort of Mad Maxy. I did like the way it looked. And I was surprised, actually, they were quite cheap. You know, maybe £250, £300 in comparison to arais and shoeis that are now over 500. But from what I understand, and having tried a few on, I looked at them very closely, there's a reason why they're half the price of a shoei or an arai, because they're not as well made. And that means, like my Simpson, they'll suffer from drafts and noise. If it rains, you'll get raindrops going on the inside of your visor, which is not ideal. Now that's not really a problem if you only wear your helmet around town, sort of like an urban environment. I'm sure you look pretty damn cool, and they'll be pretty safe. They're all CE approved, you know, AAA rated or whatever. But I wanted to wear things on longer rides, on motorways and so on, so I didn't feel like these sort of cheaper retro designs would work for me. However, I was then pleased to find that both arai and shoei have recently joined the sort of retro market. So the arai actually looks pretty nice. It's got a funny name, something like Experiment Number 1. I can't recall now, but I do like it. But again, it's very expensive, well over £600. But of course, I've got a shoei head, not an arai head, so my attention went to shoei, who over the last few years have brought out a retro looking helmet, but it has all the modern features that I'm looking for. You know, it's still got a well-fitting visor with a sort of rubber seal. It's got the usual shoei quality, so that was the helmet I went straight for. I was really pleased with everything I saw about it. I went to try one on, fitted me no problem, but the shop I got it from, J&S, at the time didn't have the particular colour scheme that I wanted, but they got me one in a few days, so I went back and bought it. I also pushed the boat out and added a dark visor as well. Now I know visors cost a lot of money for what they are, maybe 30-40 pounds I thought for a new visor for my Shoei, but no, I'm well out of date. I feel really old now, because that Shoei dark visor cost £81. £81 for a bit of plastic. I mean, it is ridiculous, but you know, that's the price of things these days. So that helmet is right over there, so let me go and get it out and I'll show you what I bought. And here it is, and I like everything about it. I like the colour scheme, I like the look, I like the quality. The one thing I don't like about it is the name that Shoei have given this particular helmet, because they've called it a Glamster. And so here it is. This is my Shoei Glamster in black with white and gold details, as you can see, which matches pretty damn well with the pinstripes on my Norton Commando, and of course my other Norton here, my Norley. So that's what appealed to me, because it will match this bike very well. It's, as you can see, I've got the very expensive tinted visor on it, although one thing I would say is that the helmet did come complete with a pin lock visor for the inside to keep away the fogging that you can get on cold damp days. I've not fitted it yet because I don't tend to ride on cold damp days. It's not really a problem. Although one thing I've noticed that my old helmets don't have is this little bit of writing here that says emergency use only, pull red tab and remove cheek pad. Got these little tabs here, so if you're in an accident and you're lying there unconscious, an EMS person can come along and pull these out to make it easier to remove the helmet without, you know, damaging your neck if you broke your neck or something like that. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's got a venting here in the chin bar, a bit retro, as well as a vent here which you can open and close. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It fits me really well. You've got quite a clever little lock here actually for the visor. It just lifts up like so. You know, it'll stay in different positions, and when it's down it sort of locks in place, and you just got to push that and then lift it up. Really easy to use, and I must say they have advanced quite a lot since my last Shoei of what, 15-16 years ago, because this is so light in comparison to my old Shoei, and certainly in comparison to helmets like my Simpson, which are probably 3 times the weight of this thing. So I'm really pleased with it, and hopefully it'll look pretty cool with my Norton Commando. Cost wise, yeah, this is not cheap, but no decent helmet's cheap, and in fact even things like boots, jackets, you know, they've all gone really expensive, so you've got to pay out what it costs these days. So this particular Glamster I think was about £520, something like that. And the visor, as I say, I was a bit shocked to find out, but the visor was £81 in addition to that. But of course it does mean that I've now got a spare clear visor just in case. But given the amount of miles I ride these days, this may well be the last helmet I ever have to buy. Probably won't be actually, because I'm looking for a different style of helmet. I do like the Neotechs. I think when my old white Neotech finally falls apart, I might consider buying a brand new Mark III, because they are super practical, and it's all very well looking cool, but sometimes practicality wins out. So anyway, there you go. There's my journey into buying a brand new helmet to match my old bikes. But it doesn't end there. Oh no, because I've still got to buy some suitable jacket, gloves, jeans or pants, boots and so on. It never ends, does it? But it's all good fun, and it's been quite interesting, you know, looking at all the options out these days, because things have changed a lot in the last 15 years since I last started to buy helmets and gear. I mean, there are now makes and brands that I've never heard of before. I mean, things like HJC, I thought that's just a cheap Chinese make, but apparently not. You know, they have a huge range of helmets, some of which look pretty cool, you know, carbon fibre helmets and so on, but they really weren't around. I'd never heard of them, you know, 15 years ago, so you do have to sort of keep an open mind. But for me, when it comes to helmets, I do tend to stick to my Shoeis. And so that's it for now, and in part 2 I'll go through the same process to go and find myself a decent retro looking leather jacket.